What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to Your Ex-Drinking Buddy. My name is Brennan Tassif. I'll be your host. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. Check out the merch store at brennantcomedy.com/merch-store. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. We'll put the shorts up there, the full video, the whole thing. Thank you so much for listening. I love it. I hope you love it. Subscribe on Patreon, too. We do bonus episodes. I do Tales from the Restaurant, where I talk about celebrities I've waited on and whether they're assholes or not, which is super fun. Also, we do a pre-show banter for my other show, Cheers from the Press Box with Joe Dorville. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on over there, too. Make sure you just subscribe everywhere, just all over the place. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're not leaving the mean comments, thank you for that. Maybe leave a couple nice ones.
Grab me your beer and grab me a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I'm your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do, to hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories. I'm sober now, but it's still one of my favorite things to do, hang out with somebody and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I'll be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from Washington, D.C., Travis Grossi.
I want to be introed like that everywhere I go.
I get that a lot. I'm glad you appreciate it.
Yeah. In my head, that's how I enter rooms, but
just
rarely it's out loud.
Dun.
Right.
Before we get too far in anything, plug everything up front. Social media, your podcast, the whole deal.
Yeah, everything you can find at travisgrossi.com. There's a Give Gab Love podcast. I'm going to be in Denver next month at the Rise Comedy Festival.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Perfect. What's the social media handle?
Oh, sorry. Travis.grossi, Grossi.
Beautiful.
On all the things.
Perfect. Not Grossi, Grossi.
Not Grossi.
So we met at Broadway Comedy Club.
Yeah, at a mic.
At a mic.
At an interesting mic.
Yes, very odd.
Where a woman said the N-word
Twice.
2 times.
And it was a white woman from Long Island. Or Coney Island.
Woman.
Then the next comic handled it supremely.
Yes, I thanked him after I saw him in the street. I was like,
he was so
thank
good.
You for your
so the next comic that went up was a young black man,
and
he said normally you would get jumped for that, but I went to prep school, so
I
was like, dude,
he was perfect. But then also a woman sat on the stage at the end.
Yes.
The whole thing
having
was
a
just
very
like,
manic episode.
What's happening here?
And then she stood out of the light, off to the side of the stage.
Yes.
And someone was like, there's a stool right there.
And held up her phone at one point to show picture, the whole thing. That was my first time there for a mic ever.
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah.
That's not normally how it is. But then again, I don't go to that mic very often. That used to be my go-to mic. But then my schedule moved around, so I stopped kind of going for a while. But my general rule for the show, and the listeners know this, is if I see a comedian, doesn't matter if it's at a show or a mic or whatever, especially a comedian who's like visiting or something like that, if I'm like, oh my God, this person's very funny, I want to get them on the show.
Thanks.
Because in my head, I'm like, eventually they're going to blow up, and then they're not going to have time for my show.
Yeah.
So let's get it now while the getting is good.
Cool.
And you were hilarious. And
Thanks,
you had talked about how it was Anne Frank's birthday.
And it
was very ironic because, like, literally within 30 seconds, my girlfriend texted me, and she goes, hey, did you know today was Anne Frank's birthday? And I was like, I did, actually. I did. How did you not know that?
Yeah. A comic just did a PSA about it.
Yeah, I was like, we just talked about this. So that's how we met. You're from D.C., or you live in D.C. now?
Yes, I'm from Chicago originally.
Okay. So this is a question I always ask my guests because I normally have I always have artists on, but it's always different mediums. But for you do stand-up. Mm-hmm. How did you even find stand-up? Like, how did you find it? Not even just to do it, but I mean, how did you even run into it?
Yeah. My senior year, I'd always done like musical theater growing up, like just the gayest, from start to finish.
Happy Pride, everybody!
Yeah, truly happy final Pride. We're here. So yeah, I've done theater and performing stuff, but I was in college and there was a talent show and they needed an MC and I was like, I will MC. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And so me and this other girl wrote bits. Like I was like, we're not just going to like MC. We're going to like
we're gonna do it. If
yeah,
we're gonna
yeah,
do
yeah.
it, we're gonna do it.
This is gonna be funny. And so I got really into that and had so much fun. And then around the same time, watched the Jerry Seinfeld documentary, Comedian.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course.
And that I was like, oh, like there's you can do this, and there's a process to do. Like I didn't know mics. I didn't know. I grew up like watching like Ellen and Seinfeld.
That's what I was
like,
gonna ask. So you knew about stand up through as a child watching those shows?
Yes, and like my family's hilarious, and like but I didn't know that. I didn't know how to. I just thought those people happened.
Yeah,
like it's just like
growing up. Did you have an inkling, or did you have any exposure to stand up itself, or were you just watching shows that happen to have comedians in them, like Seinfeld or Ellen?
Yes, and I watched their stand-up specials, but I grew up in Chicago, and like we'd gone to Second City, which like is incredible, but that's obviously sketch and improv. But no, I had never seen like a live stand-up. I just seen like specials and then Seinfeld's like bits before the show, right?
I find it fascinating because it's an age thing. Mm-hmm. I've started to notice doing this show for as long as I have, where younger people, like in their early 20s, are like, because stand-up is so readily available now.
Oh, yeah.
But like when I was growing up, in the 90s and aughts, like I would record Comedy Central Presents on a VHS because YouTube wasn't around till 2005. So like if you wanted to watch stand-up, you had to seek it out.
Yeah.
So it was more there was more obstacles to like watch stand-up. But then I'll have kids on who are like 22. And they're like, what are you talking about? How did I find stand-up? It's in my algorithm.
Everywhere.
And I'm like, oh, my bad.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. We didn't even have cable. So
okay. So you didn't even.
No, when we got cable, it was like high school, maybe like late high school. And then Comedy Central, I was like, there's a whole channel.
Yeah, dedicated to this.
What? Like it was just mind-blowing. But that documentary was like it. Because I was like, okay, cool. It can be a job. Okay, so you just have to work at it.
Yeah, treat it like any other job. So when you did the MC thing at the talent show, were you like, oh, this is something, and then you watched the documentary, are you like, oh, this is something I'm going to pursue now?
Yeah.
Really?
So then I moved. I went to school in Paris, which fine.
Well, la-ti-da.
Yeah. It's so dumb. But
wait, what you for theater?
But I did theater there. For international politics.
Okay.
I went because you could smoke and drink at 18, and I went because it was Paris. Like, it's Paris, Like growing up, my mom had always said, study hard and you can go anywhere in the world to college. Like she said the words anywhere in the world repeatedly, but never intended. Like that wasn't, like.
So when you come to your parents and go, hey, I want to go to school in Paris. Were they like, no.
It started as like a summer study abroad. So it started, which also sounds like I have money and we do not. It did not. That's not where I came from. But I was like, it was junior year in high school and we were in math class. I didn't want to pay attention. It was the first day of class. And there was this girl sitting behind me and I turned around and I thought it'd be hilarious to be like, what are you doing this summer? Like on the first day of school, I thought that bit was what the fuck? So I was like, what are you doing this summer? And she's like, what? Stop talking to me, And I kept saying it like for the first week. I was like, what are your plans for the summer?
What are you doing this summer?
Yeah. And finally she was like, I'm going to Paris. And I was like, what?
I'm going to Paris.
What are you talking about? I was like, who goes to Paris? And so anyway, so we became friends and she was going to do the summer study abroad in Paris thing. And I was like, I want to study like stuff.
Yeah.
What? I took Spanish. Like I had no.
I was going to ask, do you speak French?
No, I just heard Paris and I was like, well, yes, I need to go. So I came home and told my parents, I was like, I want to
study abroad in Paris.
Here's what I'd like to do.
Mom, Dad, pens and pencils out.
Yeah. And they were like, okay, this will change in a week. And they had said, all right, well, if you pay for it, if you apply, get accepted, and then pay for it, go for it.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Yeah.
17-year-old Travis, like, if that's a thing you can do. And I was like, okay. And so I got 3 jobs. Hosting, 2 waitering jobs, applied, got into the program, and then 2 or 3 months later came back and I was like, had the acceptance letter, a stack of cash, and was like, okay, so can I go to Paris? And they were like, what the
It is so funny, especially because I think about this all the time when you're younger, and because my dad, love him to death, but there's a part of me that's like, oh, he didn't believe I played college football until he came down and saw my locker. You know what I mean? Like this whole yeah, sure, buddy. Yeah. Sure you're going to do that.
And I was a kid that said all the
That's what I'm saying is I was the same way where it was just like, I'm going to do this. And everyone, by the 10th time, I remember when I was a kid, being like sat down and talked to about The Boy Who Cried Wolf because I was so like, I need attention. Look at me. I'm dying.
That story hit different for me. I was like, you should believe him. The thing is,
eventually he gets killed by a wolf, if we're not mistaken. That's how the story ends.
Yeah. That's horrible.
So for you, you end up going to Paris. What do you study in Paris when you do the study abroad?
Oh, that was 5 weeks. Like international law.
Okay.
I always took a class. Like I'm 17. I was a fool. But we were in college classes. So it was like AP classes,
Yeah.
you know, and you got credit or whatever was like the ostensible reason to go. But I was in Paris. Like I was just like,
Were you smoking and drinking?
oh my God, yeah. Yeah. And like was just like, I am Carrie Bradshaw. Like
Was that the first time that you were like letting loose, or had you done that before?
No, definitely. And I was gay too. So, and that was like the first time that I was like, I'm going to be gay.
Okay.
Like,
and you were out at the time.
no, not
Okay.
at home. But like, I went to Paris and was like, that was when I was like, okay, you can come out because there's this like big wide world. You
Yeah.
grew up in like suburban Chicago. And at the end of the 5-week program, the school, like, you know, it was at the American University of Paris, which is where I ended up going. But
What's so fun? I don't mean to interrupt, but
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
so funny to me is I'm from the South, so I know parents who would be like, "I'm not going to let him go to Paris if we could come back gay."
and it will. No, it will. That is true. That's amazing.
And you knew you were gay, but then you didn't come out, and then you go to Paris and you come back and you're like, "Hello."
Yeah, 100%. With like bleach blonde hair. Everything you think is accurate.
That's everyone's
Like a choker, like, what are we
stereotypical,
doing?
like ignorant idea, and you were like, "No, it is true."
Yeah, 100%. 100%. But they no one was surprised. No one should have
Yeah,
been
of
surprised,
course.
for the record. But
Just to come back, like, "No, this is me now."
yeah.
Goddamn Paris made him gay.
I still don't speak French, but I am gay.
Did you speak French while you were there?
No,
Like an
no,
immersion kind of a
no.
thing? You were just around it?
They didn't even no at that. So the summer study didn't have. I mean, I suppose you could have taken French. I did not take French.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool campus and a really cool school. And at the end of it, they put us like in a room, and we're like, we're a university. You can apply here, you know. And I was like, wait a second. And they're like, this is, you know, it's an American, it's a liberal arts education. So a lot of international students come here to get a liberal arts degree and then come to the States for their master's program before we shut down the borders.
Yeah,
right.
of course.
This was the BC
A few years ago.
Yeah. And in that presentation, I was just like, oh.
It's like a timeshare. That's how they get you.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, this is okay, great. And so then I went home and was
I'm
like,
already here.
yeah, I was just like, I can't, this for college? Like, I didn't even know it was an
Yeah.
to go.
Again, it's the stand-up thing all over again. You didn't even know it was a thing you could do.
Completely. And so I went back and I applied to other schools in the States, but I was like, this is my number one. And my parents were again like, this is going to pass. Like, this will fade, you know?
Yeah.
And like,
It is interesting because I've lived in different parts. I grew up in Florida my whole life, but I lived in Oklahoma for just a couple of months. But it was so fascinating to me when people would be like, "You're from Florida. That's crazy." And in my head, I'm like, what you're saying, like, it's like you can move. Like, some people just don't even have the idea of like, oh, it's a big wide world. You could do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You just have to find the resources and go and do it.
yeah.
And like, I talk to friends now back home where they're like, "I can't believe you're in like." Comedian from New York is like my biggest credit. And they're like, "I can't believe you live in New York to do
You're like,
comedy."
I
It's
got
like,
on a plane.
Yeah, it's
so
like you guys can do it too. You have a car, just pack up your shit and drive up there.
Yeah.
So for you, they were like, "You can come to school here," and you were like, "Oh, cool. I guess I'll do that."
And then, excuse me, when I went back and told, you know, friends and stuff, it was just like, everyone was like, Paris? You know, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. Like, how?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, it's college that you just go. And
There's a
it's the
program.
same thing.
They have
you
a
know?
whole thing.
And it's like kind of the same as like cost-wise, it was, you know, it was a private school, but it was the same as like my brother went to Madison, Wisconsin, and
Yeah.
so out of state. So it was pretty much the same tuition.
So out-of-state public was the same as the
Yeah,
private
I mean,
school
it wasn't
place,
like
yeah.
crazy. Now, I mean, yes, it was crazy, and yes, I had loans, and it was,
Mm-hmm.
you know, horrific. But yeah, like cost-wise, I don't know. When you say I went to school in Paris, like it's never a thing where people are like, oh, okay,
No,
you know,
I
like
was
it's always
blown
like
away when you said that. I was like, "Huh?"
But it's like, and I feel dumb saying it all the like when I don't know. I feel like it's
Yeah.
a thing that I can't not
No,
say.
tell everybody.
Yeah.
We had a guest, Rafael Perara, who directed my one-man show.
Oh, cool.
And he went to school he's from London, but he went to school in Paris.
Oh,
But
cool.
he went to like a clown school.
Oh,
Because I guess it's like a big deal over there.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
a real art form that
It's
they
like the
study.
Harvard of
Yes.
Yeah, that's where you go.
So when he said he went to clown school, I like laughed, and he goes, "But it's like a really high end like clown.
It's like
school.
the clown school.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, yeah.
So I'm interested because in high school in Chicago, are you popular? Are you like going to parties? Are you like what's happening? Because you're doing musical theater, and I know that. But I say that because you guys have your own structure, your own clique,
that's like
your
a
own
different
thing. It's like a different world. So are you guys like doing like the high school kid stuff? Or you guys what's going on?
I had friends.
Yeah.
Let me just say.
As someone who
That
did
sounds
not-
very defensive. That
No,
sounds like someone who
I
didn't.
didn't. I
had friends.
I say it all the time. I was bullied. Even my senior year playing football at a high level in high school still was the butt of every joke.
How?
Still, I
What?
didn't hit my growth spurt till I was a senior. And I remember when I was like a junior or sophomore, my dad was like, "You have to stand up for yourself." And so I did, and I got the shit kicked out of me by like the rest of the team. And I was just...
That's
Well, I have a
awful.
bit about it, but when I walked in my freshman year, I was like, my nickname's going to be Massive Tassif, like my older brother. And they were like, no, you're going to be Fatty Tatty, because I was like a short, fat kid. And that was the start, like, self-confidence gone.
Done.
Everything just shattered.
Fuck.
So, like, I always ask that because it's so fascinating to me, because I grew up with siblings who were all popular, who, like, went to house parties in high school and, like, did the
Are you the
popular
youngest?
kid things. Me and my twin sister are.
Oh, okay.
But, like, my brother was, like, the guy in high school.
That's rough. You
and
can't
then my
follow
older
that.
sister
That's
is
hard.
so pretty and was like the popular kid. And then my twin sister was like not afraid of anything. It's so funny because we're physically, I'm imposing, but she's like a pit bull. Like she like not scared of anything. So she had a ton of friends. And I was just kind of in my room playing
Guys.
Xbox by myself. Like
no.
friends are lame.
But it made you funny.
Eh.
It
yeah.
gave you a personality.
No, that is true. But for you, that's why I asked, because there is such a spectrum of popularity in high school.
Yeah.
So you had friends. You had people you could count on.
Yes. My friends were always girls, and my
Okay.
friends were always hilarious.
You don't say.
Yeah, I know. This might shock you. But a lot of theater girls. I was, yeah. Yeah, we had a good crew, I would say. I definitely wasn't popular, although people knew who I was. It was a school of 3,000
That's what I
kids.
was gonna ask, okay.
So it was a big school.
Yeah.
We had two campuses, like freshman,
wow.
sophomore on
Yeah.
one campus, junior, seniors, like it's massive. I went 3,000 kids in high school, and then my college was 700
That's
kids.
crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because I had 3,500, but then I went to a state school in Florida, so there was like 35,000 kids.
Yeah, that's wild.
So it's like you're just used to it.
Yeah.
But so for you, the fact that you said people knew who you were, so you obviously made some sort of impression on
And that
a lot of the school.
Yes, maybe because, and then I came out senior year of high school
Okay.
at a time. I'm 42, so it was 2000.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I was the only openly gay kid in a school of like 32.
Well, especially in the Midwest, that's kind of got to be very much
and like suburbia.
Well, and it was just a few years prior to that, or around the same time, where
Ellen.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, not Ellen, but the
Matthew Shepard.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean
so
all
it was
that.
very
Like it
much
was like, it was not this time. Where
Did you? And I don't mean to pry, but I'm always fascinated by these kinds of stories. Were you scared?
Yeah.
Or yeah, because like for those of you listening who don't know, the Matthew Shepard thing was national news. Like this young gay kid was killed, beaten to death,
horrifically murdered,
and then like tied
Strung
up.
up.
Yeah. And so it was one of those things where if you were a young gay person, and especially in the Midwest where it happened, I think it was Wisconsin or
like Wyoming,
yeah, somewhere in there, I would be terrified.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like take me through, just because I obviously as a straight guy from the South, I've never had to experience anything like that. So just when you decided to come out, was that like, cause like now, like you said, like
everyone's gay.
yeah, my girlfriend teaches fourth grade. And it's like,
Yeah.
she has kids that are non-binary and trans and
Yeah.
all this kind of
The
stuff, which
best.
is good that the knowledge is out there and people are understanding more about what makes them tick.
Yeah.
Because, this is how I dealt with it, was doing stupid shit like that because I was like, nobody likes me. So it's good that mental health is more in the zeitgeist. But for you at the time, just if you could summarize it into like how that happened.
How I came out. I came out senior. So I'd gone to Paris the whole summer before. Had like this whole like the most cliche of awakenings of like, whatever, there's a big wide world. I can be gay. I'm going to leave this small town. You know, I'm going to bust out. Like just so
The
gay.
small town of Chicago,
Yeah,
Illinois.
yeah. I'm packing my bags. So I knew
The
that
third biggest city in the country. I'm leaving this small town.
with my like satchel.
Yeah. Your bindle on a stick.
Fully. But so I had this mentality that like I'm gone. So like whatever you think of me, it's fine.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I knew like safety wise, I wasn't scared, thankfully, and you know, super grateful. Like I wasn't scared for my safety at home. Like I wasn't scared I was gonna get kicked out like some kids had to deal with, still do have to deal with. So I knew I had that like protection of like, I think my parents are gonna be okay with this. I'm pretty sure they are. It might take like a learning curve, but like fine. But also like I'd do a bit about this, but like my room in high school had there was a poster above my bed that was a framed Titanic movie poster, Kate and Leo. Yeah. On one wall was Cats, and another wall was Les Mis. Like, who's surprised? What are we doing here? What are we? You're shocked? Let's take a tour around my room. You know, like in Princess Diana's
Exhibit
death.
A, yeah.
Affected me. So like, okay. No one. It did.
I forgot that was like a huge moment.
That Elton John song, huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Candle in the Wind. I still listen to it sometimes when I'm like, I want to get sad. She was just a candle in the wind. God rest in power. Anyway, so I was like, I was scared, but a privileged version of scared. Came out. My family was okay with it for sure. Was like a little like my mom thought because, and rightfully, or I understand why, but her main concern was AIDS.
Yeah.
Was like, well, you're gonna die of AIDS, you know? And I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
because that was another thing too.
also-
I forget because now,
Right.
especially now, like
Yes.
it's not even
Right.
Like one of my very good friends, Matt Fulcheron, has a bit where he talks about I think condoms were just a fad in the '90s, but it's like so true. Like back then, everyone was terrified about STDs, AIDS, HIV, and it was like, especially in that community, it was like that community, and then because I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict, heroin users, it was really like a big deal.
I mean, it had 100% mortality.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
People were just dropping.
You didn't live, you didn't survive, which is fucking wild to think. Like when we were going through COVID, I was like, okay, so it was this, but everyone died.
Yeah.
Everyone died.
And that's the thing too, is like COVID
What an
was
uplifting
like
topic.
a 3%. Well, it is an
uplifting
interesting
guest I
thing
am.
to be like,
You're welcome.
yeah, thank you. No, I love talking about deeper stuff. Sometimes people will be like, well, that's a sad story. And I'm like, and?
Right, let's go.
Could you please tell
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
So the family eventually...
So they were excited, or they were fine with it. But
Yeah.
safety at school, like I was popular, or like I had friends that was fine. The biggest thing that I remember being like, oh, this is what this feels like. There was, you know, the like senior superlatives list
Yes.
of like most likely to bliggity blue. Someone made
Bliggity Blue, that was mine.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was mine actually.
That was the coveted bliggity blue slot. So they made like an alt version that was just mean things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh, no.
Yeah. And
This is 2000. I know where this is going.
was most likely to die of AIDS.
No.
Travis Grossi. And they put it in my gym locker, which like, what? You know, and I
You're
just
like,
remember.
yes, I am very hot. Thank you for noticing. Everybody wants me.
Are you flirting with me? Is this? I will have sex with you. No, but
Yes, I am very wanted. Thank you for noticing.
yeah. And that was like, okay. So
Yeah.
like, not everyone's a fan.
Yeah.
You know, or like this is. I just remember being like, I'm going to Paris.
I'm out of here.
I'm going to
leaving.
Paris, you guys.
Can I ask you, this is something that I'm curious about because coming out is such a sacred thing and it's very near and dear to, you know, that experience that people have to go through. When you came out, did you like show up, like not at home, but when you went to school, did you just like tell your friends, hey, just so you're aware, this is what, or did you like come in like, boom, burst open the doors, throw glitter in the air, like, hello?
I wish. I was too like internalized homophobia to do
Okay.
any of that. No, I had come out to, or had told a friend before I left for the summer in Paris, like that summer between junior and senior year. I told a friend. And when I got back, she called like the night before.
Just so you know, I've told everybody.
Just so you know. Yeah, she said everyone knows. Like
How could that have happened?
What happened was, and I was like,
yeah.
"What? Okay." That she said someone said someone, and then someone else told someone else, and then
Yeah.
And I was like, and that in the moment, I was like, "Oh, thank God! Like this is so much easier now. I don't have to tell people. Now people will just know. Like that's great." But I remember like walking, like going to the bathroom or something, like early on, like first or second week of school, when the news was still like, news or whatever.
There,
yeah. And like walking past a classroom and hearing people talking about it, like as a class, like with the teacher.
Really?
And I was like, oh, that feels
Hurtful? Yeah.
It's not, it just felt like, oh, this is like,
Well, and at that time, that's a thing. You have to, like they do it now in school. I know with a lot of the curriculum between, gender identity, sexual identity, and race.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, they're reading books and they're talking about it. But I remember, because I'm a few years younger than you, but not by much. I remember being in high school, and it still was like, especially in the South, it was still like a thing.
yeah.
And it was interesting because, and then we'll move on, but the thing I find fascinating about it is I had friends that we all knew were gay.
Yeah.
You just knew. Even if they hadn't come out, you were like,
Yeah.
Like you said, like, let me take you on a tour.
Yeah.
But then we still used gay words.
Like that's so gay.
Yeah, like we still, well, not even gay, but we would throw out the F word and like we use those as negative, derogatory things.
Yeah.
But we were still friends with people who we knew were gay.
Right.
So it was like that weird time where it was like, you know what I mean? Where it was like we were accepting of our friends that were gay, but also we would still be like, gay. Like, you know what I mean? Like that weird.
Yeah.
So because it was around the same time, so it is fascinating to hear you say like your friends were like, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
and then you would walk by a class and they're like, now some people, like, other people,
I just
and you're
like
like what?
It's always so fascinating to me. And I get it. Like I get it intellectually to be like to have to think to not understand it, I guess. But then also at the same time, like I would always explain it, especially then when it was like still new, was when people were like, well, how did you know? And I'm like, well, when did you know you were straight?
Yeah, I use that argument all the time.
Like what? This is not like that. Like we're all doing the same thing. Sex is so weird for all. Like the fact that we all pretend like, no, I'm normal with it, and everyone else is. It's like,
who
all
are you
right,
telling? I have a whole bit where I'm like, no, I'm straight. I have a girlfriend, but I like stuff in my butt. Like I have a whole bit about it.
Yes.
And people are like, wait, you could actually be. It's like, no. I went down that road, and I was just like, this isn't for me. But also,
yeah, I think the biggest lie we all tell ourselves is that like everyone else is normal.
Yeah.
Like they're not at all.
At all.
At
well, and
all.
it's interesting because in the South, because I'm naturally like very empathetic. So like I would have friends that would be like, no, being gay is a choice. And I would always say the same argument. I go, well, would you suck a dick for $1 million? And they were like, absolutely not. And I go, so then it's not a choice. You're not, because then if it was
I'm not getting $1 million.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like whenever it's like a hyper conservative person, I go, then you're proving my point that it's not a choice.
Right. When did you choose to be straight?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
oh, you didn't. Oh, it was just a thing
so you
inside of
do
you.
That for $1 million. That seems like an easy choice. So it's not a choice. And they're like,
right. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool.
I just like it is 2025 and we're still like it's still happening. I'm just that's wild.
That blows my mind, especially coming from South Florida, which is a lot more open than a lot of the rest of Florida, where I went to college, and then going to Northeast Florida, which is more southern than South Florida, where you're like, oh, you guys are still living in like the 70s or the 50s in some cases, where it's like, it's like, what are we, and also, why are you so concerned with other people?
How does this affect you ever? Ever. The gays make things so nice.
Much better.
Have you seen our neighborhoods?
The property values?
Like this, we do great work.
There's so many bits I've heard from comics where they're like, the gays moved in. Thank God.
Yeah,
We need nicer
you're
schools.
welcome. Yeah, we make art. Like we're just, what are we doing? We're not the ones with guns shooting people up.
Exactly.
Never, not once.
Never, not once.
Never.
That's the name of the episode. All right, so let's talk about it. So when was the first time you actually drank? like got drunk?
So I was thinking about this for this podcast because I was like, when it was the first time I got drunk. And I think it was the first memory that came that I completely forgotten about was it was like junior year of high school, senior year of high school. I was going to visit my cousin.
So this is before or after Paris?
I think after. I think it was senior year because I think it was like when you were doing like college.
So you were
visits.
drinking in Paris at 17.
Yeah, we
But
had
you were
like
just-
yes, but never like drunk. Like I wasn't like I didn't know like my friends like even like sophomore junior year like we were theater kid like we're not
Some of those kids go hard.
That's true. That's true. We were not those kids.
Okay.
There were kids that were like, you know, red Solo Cup, partying, beer pong, like that wasn't until college. Like I didn't, that wasn't my world.
And in Europe, I've had a couple Europeans on the show, and they're like, no, Americans drink because they were told their whole lives they're not allowed to, so they drink like animals.
Yes.
They're like, if you're in Europe, everyone just has a glass of wine with dinner, and it's accepted, and nobody gives a shit.
Right.
So when you're in Paris, you're drinking, but you're not like...
I'm classy.
Yeah, of course. Look at you.
Come on.
Who am I talking to?
Come on. No. I had a beret. Like, what are we...
Of course you did.
Obviously. No, but so it was like senior year and I was going to visit my cousin who was at Ball State doing musical theater, which I was like,
Go Cardinals.
sure. She was doing musical theater. I don't know. Anyway, so went to I went to like see her, hang out for the weekend. Like I think she was in a show, and then went to a party, and that was the first time I got drunk. And it was, and the feeling of being drunk hit me at the same time that Fatboy Slim song was playing, "Praise You." I don't know if you remember that, where it like slows down and is like, blah, blah, blah. And I had never heard that song before, so I was like, "What is happening?" Like I was like, I need to go. Like this is
that is a big. They revamped that song. It's a big techno song now.
Oh, is it? That makes sense. Also, the name Fatboy Slim.
Love it. I love it. I love it.
So that was the first time I got drunk, and then was like hungover and was like, oh, yeah.
Did you? I'm obsessed with little details. So did you? You go to this party, with your cousin, and do you black out at the party? Does she have to like drag you home? Do you remember any of that, or was it kind of like Travis had too much to drink, we're gonna head out, and you were fine?
I think it wasn't like I wasn't a mess.
Yeah.
But I don't remember much of it.
Yeah, of course.
I do remember standing in like it was like, you know, a living room of some like house, maybe frat house, whatever, like theater frat house, if that's a thing, because it was all theater people and they were all getting messy and like making out with everyone.
Yeah, oh yeah,
because that's what theater kids do. But I just remember like standing in the living room looking around as that song like slows down and then sped back up again, and I was like, oh shit, like things are moved, like I am drunk. Oh, this is drunk.
This is it.
This is drunk. And I was like, I'm having fun.
So then I wanted to ask you, because you did send me a couple of stories. What is the public urination thing about? Is this just something you do?
So, no. So we were in New York, moved to New York after college.
Okay, so you get back from Paris and then you're like, again, I'm done with this small town. I'm going to New York now.
Going to the big city.
So you went from Chicago to Paris to Chicago to New York.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've never lived in a small town in your life.
I was like,
now you're in D.C.
I'm out of here. No, you're not going to catch me in suburbia. Absolutely not, with your strip malls. So what are you doing? Why? You could not live there.
Yeah, exactly.
There's an option.
You can move.
What are we? Yeah. So
I will be honest with you. I grew up in like Daytona, which is not a big city at all, and we have a lot of strip malls. The one thing I do kind of miss is the consistency of like,
knowing what you're
okay, I
getting.
can go like, oh, there's a Chili's and an Applebee's and an Outback. Where
It's
do you want to get
comforting.
dinner? It is very comforting because I grew up in that environment, so it feels safe.
It's home.
So when I moved to New York and it was like, where do you want to go for dinner? I don't know.
Right. You can have anything.
Yeah, and it's also like there's all these places you've never heard of, and you're going to spend $70 for dinner for two, and if it sucks, you just know not to go back there. And it's like, cool.
The driving in suburbia. That's the issue. I like to walk and I don't know, people.
Yeah, be around.
Yeah.
So then you moved to New York.
So then I moved to New York.
Was that was in your head? When you came back from Paris, you were like, I'm going to New York?
I was actually going to do the Peace Corps
really?
in Africa and was on my way to Africa. And then
Wait, how hot does it get? No, I'm okay.
I was like, wait a second. What am I doing? For what? How much am I going to make? No, the reason I couldn't go was because I had student loans, and because I had gone to school in Paris, they were private student loans and not federal, so they wouldn't
you
get
wouldn't-
deferred.
yeah.
And I didn't know any of that until I was like accepted, and
So
was
you were
like,
signing up, yeah.
wait a second, and they were like, okay, well, your loans will get deferred, and I was like, cool, and then I went and like checked, and they were like, no, they're not. You owe this much a month, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make $6 a month doing the Peace Corps. Like, I can't do this. So I was like, fine, I'll go to New York and I'll get famous. I will go to New York and do stand up. And so I came to New York and lived in a studio apartment with 4 people and 2 dogs in Forest Hills, Queens, which was an experience. Slept on an air mattress for like the first like 4 months.
Mm-hmm. I've done that.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a bit that's like air mattresses are fun when you want to sleep on the floor, but not right away.
Oh, that's good.
just so
One of
weird.
the guy that I mentioned earlier that I tour with, Matt Fulstron, has a bit where he goes, every day's a bad day when you wake up on the wrong side of the floor.
So that was my first experience in New York.
Air mattress boxes say great for camping trips and slumber parties and sleepovers. What it really should say is great for economic disaster, divorce, mild drug addiction.
I've slept on so many air mattresses.
too.
Like more than I
care to admit.
Yeah.
And now it's gotten to the point where I don't know if it's like a PTSD thing. Now when people are like, yeah, we'll just roll out the air mattress. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good.
yeah.
I can't. I'll sleep on the couch. I will sleep on the fucking floor before I sleep on an air mattress again. Because I'm a big dude. So
just
they
hearing
always,
that squeak is like brings
it's
you
always
back.
like, tss. And they're like, no. I promise. This is a good one.
This is a good one.
This is a good one. No, it's not.
Wait, well,
No,
yeah.
it's not.
It's never.
Get a bed.
Please. Or a couch, a pull-out couch.
Love a pull-out
Yeah.
couch.
So what are we talking about? Air
We were
mattresses?
in New York,
New
Forest
York.
Hills, Queens.
Came to New York. Right.
You're going to get famous. Now,
Gonna get famous.
When you came here to get famous, you had already seen the documentary. You had already done the MC thing.
Yeah.
Are you
Had never done a mic, had never done anything.
Got it.
Signed up for actually a bringer show, and I don't even know how I found it or at the place where we met at that at
Broadway.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
the first thing I'd
So
ever
this
done.
is 2004-ish?
2005. Yeah.
Okay.
The fall of 2005, did a bringer show there, brought, 10 of my friends, like was just like, this
Now,
is.
these friends, because you had just moved to New York, did you meet them at work? Are they people you already knew from the theater group, friends from high school?
They had done, I love them so much. They're still my best friends. They had done a year abroad at my school.
Okay, so that's how you know
from the
them.
States. Yeah. So they were in Paris for a year, and then I lived with them like in the summer between in college. And,
The only reason I asked is when I first moved here, I did the Industry Room, which is a bringer show at Broadway.
Yeah.
It might have been the same one. And they were like, yeah, you have to bring 5 people. And I had just moved here, and I was like, I don't know 5 people.
how did you do that? So what did you
Luckily, my cousin had
to like
lived-
bark outside?
My second cousin lived here, and she was like, I always joke with her, like, you were like, when I met her here, because she's like 10 years younger than me, she was like Sex in the City, like in New York. She was like 22, had all these friends.
So cool.
Everyone's so hot.
Oh, just
going
stomping
out,
around
and
in
you're
their heels and
yeah, and you're like,
sushi
oh
and-
my God, this is the life I wish I could have lived.
You did it.
Yeah, you did it.
You've done it.
So she came. She brought a couple of her friends, and then I had a couple Florida people that did stuff in New York, like in the summertime. So they happened to be.
Had
I
you
moved in July.
done stand up before?
Oh yeah, I
okay.
started stand up in 2009. I didn't move here till 2018 or
Oh.
2021.
Cool. So you killed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did. So long story short, I started in 2009, took a bunch of breaks because of my alcohol and drug addiction. Really got back into it when I got
not good
sober.
for comedy? That's
no,
weird.
it's actually very bad. You run the light, you do impressions for 12 minutes, and then people get very mad at you. So then in 2018, when I got sober, I got back into stand-up like full go. So then me and my ex moved here in 2021. So I had and I was like in Florida, like getting reps, like on shows every night,
Cool.
like going to mics every day, like doing 3 or 4 mics in a night. Like, and our mics in Florida are a thing because there's not a lot of stand-up. So like,
it's like a show.
in front of audience. Yeah. So by the time I got it, in fact, I say this all the time. My first Industry Room was way better than my second, but I got more shows from the booker on my second run, which to me was confusing, but I guess, your style changes even without you knowing it. And so I guess he just liked it better on the second one. But the first one I murdered.
Yeah.
Like murdered.
Just.
And I was like, this is fishing with dynamite.
I'm in New York. And you came to like do stand up.
Yeah. It's the only reason I moved here. So for you, when you do the show, you bring how many people?
Yeah, like 10,
Yeah.
like 8 to 10, I think.
And then did you just crush?
yeah.
You'd never done stand-up before.
No. And so crushed. There were no recordings of it, so in my brain crushed. Like friends said it was like, but I did get laughs. Like I know enough to that happened. And then and I was waiting tables at TGI Fridays in Forest Hills, Queens.
Shout out.
Yeah, Flair, the whole thing. And
it's a safe space for me, that Jack Daniel's burger. I know what I'm getting, and I appreciate that.
Just standardized frozen
Burger.
Yeah. So the booker called the next day, or maybe I called him something, and he was like, "Oh, like you did well. Like, do you want to come back for this show or whatever?" And I was like, "Yes,
I'm doing it.
I've made it.
I've made it."
And what I said, Brennan, was, "Well, how much are you paying me?"
Okay, that's a choice.
And he goes, "Nothing." What? And I was like, "Well, I can't do it for free." The audacity.
Oh my God.
Second show, and he was like, "I mean, like, I want to." I want to crawl outside of my skin now thinking about that moment.
I'm not doing it for free.
Do you know who the fuck you're talking to?
I don't know if you saw the show last night.
I'm pretty much Seinfeld. I've done it. So he was like, "That's not how this works." And I was like,
But to your credit, you had no idea.
"No idea."
Yeah.
But like, what? Come on. What do you do? So he was like, "Okay, bye." You know, like, and I was like, "Well, I can't.
So he said that's not how this works, and you were just like, "Okay, then I can't do it."
I was like, "Well, I know my worth." Like, just a fool.
Gen Z before Gen Z, baby.
Oh my God. It just so bad. So, and then I just didn't do stand up for like 5 years.
So you just didn't do it.
No, because I didn't know how to find mics.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I can't do it for free. So like, I guess in my like delusion, I was like, well, I'll just be hilarious. And then someone will ask me, like, I'll just be killing it on the subway with my friends, and someone will surely give me an HBO
of course
special.
Can I be very vulnerable with you right now?
Yeah, please.
So I had all that time doing stand up, and I did the reps. Like I went to shitty mics, I did all that stuff. So when I moved to New York, I was like, oh, I'm going to hang out at the Olive Tree, which is the Cellar restaurant, and the Stand, because I've been doing comedy for so long, even though I put no emphasis on social media. I thought it was the bane of everyone's existence, and I thought it was the dumbest thing ever.
Nice.
So I was like, I'll just show up to these clubs.
And they'll see.
And
They'll know.
I'll talk to other comics, and they'll see I'm obviously fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And they'll just book me.
Yeah. Headline spots, probably.
That was 4 years ago. Still not passed at either of those clubs. And now
I think we should hang out more.
Son of a bitch. But now I've established myself a little in New York. So now I'm like, well, now I can't go to these smaller step down clubs because I've already invested all this time at these bigger clubs.
Are you submitting? How do you get past that?
I still don't know.
Cool.
I know, like, you need recs. You need your friends who are past there, who are good, to recommend you. The recs is the biggest thing. For the Cellar and the Stand, you need
So I
recs.
have to talk to people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's hard for me.
Yeah. And also, I come from a athletic background where, and I'm sure it's the same in theater, where maybe, but it's like, if you're very good, then you get found.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not that way in the arts. It's not that way, especially in stand-up. It's like, you know, we were talking about this before the mics went on, but I was like, I've seen people at shows where I'm like, how? What? How? Yeah. How?
Because they know people.
Yeah, exactly.
People know people. And I talked to you after the mic, which I was like, literally walking home was like, good job, Travis. Way to talk to someone. Because normally...
And I'm glad you did, because when you were on stage, I was like, this guy's hilarious. I have to get him on the pod.
Same for you. Yeah, I was like, he's amazing. But normally I'll be like, okay, do my stuff. And then I'll like awkwardly pack up and then leave.
Like slowly, like...
Does anyone want to be my... No? Okay, I'll head out. Like, I was so bad at it, and I know
I'll go to mics and just walk outside, and if I don't see anyone I know go inside, I'll just go home. I have been doing comedy
I love that you just said
so
that.
long, and I'm still just like, I don't know anybody here. Bye.
Why? I feel seen.
I'm 37.
Yeah, I'm 42.
And I'm still just like, okay,
and
bye.
Like, you're super personable. Like, it's wild.
It's
not
all
like
the front.
I mean, same, but like, I can do it.
Yeah.
But I'm
an extroverted introvert.
Yes.
I would rather be by myself.
Yes.
I have to force myself to go out. And once I'm out, because my job, I wait tables, I do stand up, and I have a podcast. So I'm very good at being like, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Right. You should see me at the gym. Because I'm very strong, so people will come up to me to talk, be like, hey, man, that's a lot. And I go, thanks. And I just go back to, I'm like, leave me. My hood is up. My headphones are in.
What other
do I
signals
need a sign on my forehead to quote Hitch that says "fuck off"? Like, leave me alone.
Yeah, It's just that like hurdle of like last night I was at a mic and this guy did this hilarious bit about fucking a couch. Obviously funny. Which is so good. And anyway, I was like, it was the same where I was like, I want to be your friend because you're funny. Because you go to mics and someone be more than money. And I don't want to be your friend. And that's the other thing too. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone before I've seen their stuff.
Yep, same.
Because I'm like, I've done that before. I'm like, oh, you're cool. And then they get up and say like the N-word twice in 30 seconds. You're like, ooh, no, that wasn't.
And then they try to defend it when the next comic who goes up is black and calls them out. And they go, my best friend is black. He said I could do it.
She said those words.
She did, remember?
God, I'll never forget.
Never forget.
Never forget.
That 9/11, never forget.
But I still can't, that hurdle of talking, I'm still like, I said to that guy last night, I was like, that was hilarious, like, amazing couch bit. And he was like, thanks, man. And then I walked away.
That was it, yeah.
And then I said, bye.
I see people will be like, hey, what's your Insta? Like, that's the first thing they say. And in my head, I'm like, loser. And then I'm also thinking, yeah, what is your Insta? Actually, I'd like to get that.
Can we connect?
I'd like to get that information, please. So, all right, cool.
So if anyone sees me at a mic, talk first. So say hi to me, and then I'll say hi to you.
You're very funny.
Thanks.
So you're in New York. You don't do stand-up for 5 years.
Yeah.
What brings you to D.C.? Work, I'm assuming, because you studied international politics?
No. So my life is dumb. So I was in New York for a long time.
I'm sorry. We were supposed to talk about the public urination.
Right.
That's why we started
Okay,
in New York.
So in New York, in my 20s, with my friends from Paris.
Just so you know, this is a perfect episode where it's not just comedy, then stories. We're kind of intertwining everything.
Perfect.
These are my favorite.
Okay, cool. Good. I'm glad. I'm not failing you.
No. But sometimes I have people on and we talk comedy for like 45 minutes and I'm like, hey, we have to get to the stories.
Yeah.
And then they're like forced in. But for us, we're just kind of going back and forth.
We did it.
We did it.
Oh. So I'm in New York. It's in my 20s. We are binge drink. We are being in our 20s in New York. Like we are.
I'm Samantha.
Yes, we're going hard. I am in credit card debt. I am going out for happy hours. Like that. It is just like the group of friends that we're still really good friends, and we're all over the country. But like we did our 20s like properly.
Yes.
You know, like we can't do that anymore. But like, I'm proud of us that we went as hard as we did.
That is one thing I miss. Being sober for as long as I've been, I spent so much time, because college was the best time of my life, and I've openly said that. Because when I got to college, I was like, I'm not going to get bullied anymore. I'm going to have friends. And I did it. I did those things.
Nice.
And I was a Division I football player at like a school in Florida. So there's hot people everywhere.
Were you going to the NFL? Was that the goal?
That was the goal, but I was delusion. It's the same thing with stand-up, where it was like, I play at a small D1 school, but it's like, eventually I'll start. I'm built to play, like I'm 6'1", 230 at the time. I was like, I could do this if I wanted to. And then I got my 8th concussion, and they're like, yeah, you can't play anymore. And I was like, no. I don't know if you guys saw the dream board, but going to the NFL.
Yeah. Was it the same like in stand-up where you thought, I mean, I guess in sports, they do just find you. So you didn't have to do any like...
No, it was, so like I had to get myself recruited because I played out of position all through high school.
I don't know what that means.
So I think you know what that means.
I know what that means. I don't know what you mean.
So I'm not built to play on the offensive line. Those are the guys that are like 6'5", 300 pounds.
Okay.
But because I was so strong, they put me on the offensive line. But my frame... So I was with these other guys that were giants.
Okay, so offensive line are...
The protectors.
Okay. Oh, got it.
So I was with the giants, but I wasn't a giant. So I couldn't get recruited.
You were the smallest giant.
Exactly. So then I ended up going to a D1 school who still used something called a fullback, which is basically a smaller version of the giant, which is exactly what I was.
You're like, perfect.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, this fits.
Here I am.
Yeah.
You
found me.
You're fullback.
Yes.
That's what it's called?
A fullback.
That's so gay. That's the gayest thing I've ever heard.
So that's what I played, and I was like, oh, because in the NFL, a fullback, naturally, the specs for it are between 6'1" and 6'3", between 230 to 250 pounds. So I was like, oh, I'm built for that. I can do this.
Perfect.
But then I got my 8th concussion and I couldn't play anymore. But
8 concussions in how long?
12 years.
Jesus.
But these are ones that are, because back then, early 2000s, they weren't reporting all of them. These are the ones where I'm getting knocked out on the field. Like, call the trainer.
Oh my God. I mean, but
I had 8 of those.
I can't. I would have been out after the first.
No,
gone. But the whole job is giving yourself a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it.
Yeah. Well, and now they teach you to lead like with your arms and stuff and your hands because of all the concussion stuff.
Into the wall of men.
But
that
when
are
I
barreling
played,
towards.
I noticed something when I played that if you take your head, this part of your head, your forehead, and you hit the opponent that you're supposed to be blocking as hard as you can in their head, they get disoriented. I learned that. So that's what I would do.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's not allowed. Is that allowed? That's not. Can't be allowed.
It is allowed. Now it's like they have like rules like helmet to helmet and all this kind of stuff. But when I was
That
playing,
was
it
your strategy.
very
Was
much
I'm
allowed.
going to take.
But sometimes you run into somebody who also knows that strategy and has a stronger face than you.
Oh my god!
And
I
that's
can't.
when you get dinged up pretty good.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Football.
Like I don't understand that. Like I'm gonna do like. Ugh.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm a very sensitive baby boy.
Yeah.
So when I first started playing football, I hated it.
Why did you start?
My dad is from the Midwest, and it was football. And I grew up in Florida, where it's football.
There wasn't an option. That was like
you
so
play
you're
football.
A man.
Everyone plays football. The theater kids, the band kids, everyone their freshman year goes out for football. And then out of all those kids, like maybe a tenth of them make it to their senior year, but everyone in Florida goes out for football their first year.
Wow, I'm so glad I didn't grow up in Florida.
And I
That's my
hated it
takeaway.
so much because I was like, this hurts.
Yes.
I don't like this. I want to play my video games and sit in my room alone. But my dad was like,
Not
"We
an option."
Play well, and I didn't even say that to him because I just didn't want to disappoint him. And he loved football. So, but then when I hit my growth spurt and got really strong, I was like, oh, now I'm good at this, and I love football. But those first couple years, I was like crying in my room by myself, like I don't want to do this.
Oh my god! I wonder how many other kids on the team were that.
I mean,
You know,
there's got to be a few
in
because
Florida.
there were some kids who were actually very good in my high school that ended up not doing anything with it. So I'm assuming they felt the same. Like they just did it because that's what they were supposed to do. And then they got to college and they're like, fuck this.
God. God, I'm so glad my dad was a dork.
You were in
and not-
musical theater.
Yeah. That no one had any. You need to do this.
So your 20s in New York.
20s in New York, going hard. Public urination. That's what I texted you. I did text you
Yes.
public urination.
You did.
Dash, just public urination.
Yes.
No context. It's like, I'll remember this. What? I was at in a bar. We were going hard. It's, group of friends, whatever. We're out. And we had gone, like, I don't know if this was your journey, but, like, it felt like every night wasn't just, we would pregame, right? And our pregames were power hours. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. I love a power hour.
Jesus.
That was one of the things in college. Oh, that's what I meant to say. Just real quick, just to wrap it up, because sometimes listeners are like, you started the thing and never finished. That's the thing I miss the most. You said you did your 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've romanticized. So from 22 to 30 when I got sober, I romanticized playing college football and having that fun.
Those
So-
were the glory days.
Yeah, and in doing so, I missed my 20s. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Does that make sense? But you were very present. You were in the moment. You're like,
Yeah.
we're doing this right.
Wait, but you were drunk and high and just like sad you weren't playing football anymore,
I
essentially?
was drunk and high and sad. So this is something I say all the time. I was never football in college was the only time where I was in shape, and like partying and having good friends, and like my mental facilities were still like fire. Like, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
wasn't an
yeah.
alcoholic at that point.
Yeah.
So I'd always try to recapture that. Like, let me be in shape, getting girls, like having fun, and like. But in my 20s, after I stopped playing football, I gained like 100 pounds because I'm drinking every day. I'm not working out.
It's weird.
And then I just couldn't get it back. But I obsessed about like that moment in time.
Wow.
I wasn't in the present.
Yeah.
When I could have been going out at college bars and just living my life.
You were in your 20s.
Yeah. So like you in your 20s are like, no, we're doing every day. We're doing this right.
lived.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, yes. I had depression and anxiety the whole time, obviously.
But, yeah.
But we were
We're
having
artists.
We were having a good time. We were having so much. And New York in your 20s, like, that's just stupid. It's
So was this a
fun.
one-off thing that happened? and you
So
got
the
in
public
trouble?
urination story was we're out.
We've teased this story for 20 minutes.
We're never gonna get to it. I just say public urination 29 times and then leave.
And then I just clip it.
So was that his thing? Like what? Someone on him? You'll never know.
Did you have to pay for that?
And just a typical night of like starting with a power hour, probably also beer pong because that's a thing.
That was a big
right?
thing.
And then going out at a reasonable time, which was like 11:30,
Oh my
which
God.
now just like blows my mind.
I stay up late. Like I normally don't go to bed till like 2 or 3.
Oh wow.
But that's only because. But if I'm out of my apartment past like midnight and I don't have a show, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing?
Because I'm either cutting clips or I'm playing my game because that's how I decompress or something. But like, if I'm not in here by like 12, I'm like, go the fuck home.
It's wild.
So to be leaving your apartment at 11 blows my mind.
That's what we did. That's who we were.
Oh my God.
I know. It blows my mind.
Even when I was like drinking incessant amounts, I was still just like, that's too late.
Oh no, it was not. We were living. But now if someone's like, oh, well, like meet at 10 and I'm like, PM? What? No.
You mean brunch, 10 a.m.
What? Yeah, absolutely not. But so we're out at some bar. I forget where. I feel like it was like, it doesn't matter, in Queens. Having the time of our lives. And there was a bathroom, which like, how, right? One single, close the door, not even like a urinal. And that's the one bathroom at a packed place. And so people were peeing outside. Mm-hmm. And we're standing in line, a huge line for the bathroom. And I pee like a pregnant woman. And when I drink, it's like, does he have a Coke problem? Yeah. Like, no, I pee a lot still. And I'm proud of myself that I haven't peed during this podcast.
I'm very proud of you. I went right before we started, just in case.
I mean, same. That's why I went to Starbucks. Then I got more coffee, so standing in line and people are like, oh, like people are just going in the alley. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was with a friend. I was like, I'm going to go in the alley. And she's like, I can't go in the alley. And I was like, well, I'm sorry that's your situation. But like,
Battle of the Genders, we won.
I can. Yeah. That's rough for you.
I'm sorry.
I am truly sorry. But yeah, this is my privilege. And what am I not going to use it? Like, yeah. So anyway, so I go pee outside. And I come back inside, and I was like, dude, go pee. Like, girls, guys,
everyone's out there.
We're all peeing.
This reminds us of the party we went to last week. Everyone's out there peeing.
It's amazing. Go to the alley. But anyway, so she goes to the alley, and she got a public urination.
Oh, my God. So you set your friend up. This whole time, I thought this story was about you. We teased it about you.
Yeah, no. And I was like,
the epic misdirect. Ladies and gentlemen. You are a comedian.
And she was like...
So you convinced her to go to the alley.
Yeah. And then like 10 minutes later, I was like, what happened? And then I look outside, there's lights. And I was like, no. That is my bad. I am sorry. And she like had to go to court. Like it was like a whole...
Yeah, you can... I don't know if women can get on the sex offender list from that.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Men can because you're exposing yourself, but with women, you can just squat down with your dress.
And I was like, I don't know her. She is a mess.
What is...
Get her, officer. This is unacceptable. People are peeing in the alleys?
That's disgusting.
Clutching my pearls. I would never.
I want to ask you, we're going to have you back on next time you're in town because we're at an hour, but...
Oh, shut up. Stop it.
So next time you come on, we're going to talk about your first New Year's Eve in New York City.
New Year's Eve's Eve.
Yes, New Year's Eve. I thought
that
was a typo.
It's the best night of the year. No, New Year's Eve's Eve. Yeah.
But I do want to ask you about Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Because you texted me something about Halloween and then you put in parentheses, Halloween in general.
Yeah. I can't do Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Anymore. Because in my same era.
You're fucking just setting up bits and knocking them down.
Well, no, in that era, This
is 20s.
Yeah. College, end of college, early 20s.
So this is Paris Travis.
Paris Travis and early New York Travis. I thought that costumes should be funny, and like they were offensive. So the first costume.
I love how you didn't even. You've been misdirecting the whole time, and this time you're just like, no, they were offensive.
It was bad, and so the first one I wore a shirt that said. And to like a friend's party that she was like, I was visiting University of Connecticut. Anyway, I didn't have a costume and I was like, oh, I'll be a motherfucker. Ha ha. And I'll wear a shirt that says, I heart moms. And then when people ask me what I am, I'll say I'm a motherfucker. I thought this was hilarious. Yeah. Obviously, it's not funny at all, and it's weird. It's very odd. So I go to the party, and I'm telling people, and they're like, oh, that's weird. Like, you're weird. So then the next Halloween I spent with her, and
they're like... It's the wrong...
You're gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole thing's a mess. Then the next Halloween...
So you just walk into a party with a shirt that says...
No, and I know no one. And and no one wants to talk to you after that. Like,
of course not!
Turns out.
You're a fucking weirdo.
So I'm just like standing by the keg like, all right, well, this was hilarious and you guys aren't funny. Like, it was my...
Nobody gets me.
So then the next Halloween, I again didn't have a costume so late. And I found a costume in like Party City. I'm pretty sure it was like... So this actually isn't on me because someone manufactured this costume. And it was a horse head that you wore around your midsection with a noose around it that you held up. And so the costume was hung like a horse.
Got it.
Again, went to a party where I knew no one. A friend invited me and I...
Huh?
It's just
Huh?
so bad.
You get it? Do you get it?
Everyone's like,
Do you get it?
we got it, and it's not funny, and it's weird, and we don't know you, and this is aggressive. Like, this is weird. And then the third and final Halloween costume, and I truly have not dressed up since, was I just put in a big condom. Like, I was just a condom. And I went to the parade in New York, the one downtown, and people were just like, and there's just, so I can't do.
So you don't.
So I took the hint, you know,
Yeah.
like it's
Maybe-
not for me.
Yeah.
Like, that it's not a good.
It is interesting you
holiday.
bring this up because you said that you think like, oh, costumes should be funny and like,
Yeah.
so you have that thought, but then you never
execute.
But you never put the thought into it where you're like, oh, Halloween's coming up.
Yeah.
Maybe I should do like a really creative, funny costume.
And I have a friend who is so funny, and her Halloween costumes every year are like, she does like the topical,
Yeah.
like when the Chilean miners, she was like a Chilean, I don't know if you remember that, which I guess is like horrific,
course,
but
yeah.
also like, that was like,
they all lived. It's funny.
it was fun. Like, it was like, like what? That's so, how did you think of that? Because that was like months later. But
And
that's
she
like,
puts the
it's a
time and
callback.
effort.
Yeah, she does. And I'm
actually
hung like a horse. Like, what are you, I'm in a life-size condom. Like, it's like, come on.
Well, I mean, I feel this somewhat of a connection with this because I'm obsessed with like I like not stupid. I like things like Star Wars and Game of Thrones and stuff. And
Like, you're like, not stupid.
every year I'm like, you know what'd be cool is if I get like a legit Jedi costume because to me that would make me feel warm and fuzzy inside and I would like
Do
that.
it.
But then I go online and I'm like, it's too expensive. The authentic stuff is so like this is pricey. And then Halloween and then I see it coming from 6 months out and then every year it kicks me right in the teeth. Well, all of a sudden it's like, oh, Halloween's next week and I have not thought of I've not actually executed. So I do appreciate
dress up
that
then?
where it's like, yeah, and it's like to what you're saying. It's always like, let's dig through because my girlfriend Tracy, whom I love very much, is a teacher, so she has like a costume box. So I'm like, well, let's dig through the costume
Get
box.
a kooky
and-
wig
yeah.
and like figure something. Yeah.
She has like this I find it quite offensive. It's like an Italian flag as an apron and an Italian flag as a hat. And it's like, oh, I'm a pizza chef. And it's like, well,
I don't know if we can do that.
I don't know. But every year I think of like these awesome costumes and then I just never execute. And I'm like, damn it.
I'm just taking myself out of the
Yeah.
running
That's
altogether.
what I think
And
is
I
so
appreciate that people can do that. And I love
For a very
that.
long time, I did, because I have leather jackets, obviously, because I'm a badass.
Cool, yeah.
So I just bought a fake badge.
It's plural. You have multiple leather?
Yes, I do. I have two. So I bought a fake badge. So then I just put aviators on, put on the fake badge around my neck, and put on the leather jacket. I'm just like, I'm a cop, obviously.
I'm a very cool cop, which everyone thinks cops are very cool.
Like
This
well, because growing up watching like the Chicago shows and NCIS and everything, there's always the one badass cop who wears the leather jacket. And he's like, hey, how you doing?
He's like ducking under
yeah.
Just
Yeah,
getting
I'm
getting in.
And it works because I have that bit where I talk about how much I look like people think I'm a cop. Like I would go to
Do look like it.
when I went to the George Floyd protest, people thought I was an undercover
That
because I just
tracks.
wore a black shirt and jeans.
Oh, you can't
And
do
people were
that.
like spitting at me, like go
Yeah.
home pig, and I'm like, I'm here.
here on the-
yeah, like we're doing it.
Well, you got to hold a sign or something. That's on you. That's your fault.
Because my uniform in the real world is a black shirt and jeans. So anytime I'm like when I tour and stuff, a lot of times we'll go to protests, and I'm like, if I show up like this, people are going to think something's fishy.
Yes, 100%. That's amazing.
The last one we went to, one of the photographers like literally stopped and was like just like openly just taking pictures of me, waiting for me to do something, and I was like,
I mean, and
I'm
are you like
here
wearing
with you.
aviators too? Because that's
I do wear sunglasses.
No, that's that's why. If
But
you
I'm
have
here to
just one
support.
earbud in, just the one, and you're
Yeah.
just constantly.
Yeah, I see him. I see him. This was so much fun.
Yes, it was.
I have to have you back on next time you're in town.
I will do that.
Plug everything one more time.
TravisGrossi.com, Instagram, TikTok. Oh, I have a YouTube channel that is called Travel with Travis. That is going to be called Travis Grossi as well.
Okay, we'll link everything in the show notes.
Yeah. Thank you for
This
having
was
me.
so
This
much
was
fun.
so fun. I
Of
really
course.
appreciate it.
Thank you everybody so much for listening at Brennan T Comedy on all social media. BrennanTComedy.com. Check for upcoming shows, dates, everything's on there. Get your Ex Drinking Buddy merch, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.